Today we will see in the Shastra Vichara in two parts. One is where we will look at the meaning of the Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, followed by our dear friend Pooja Mishra speaking on the Anuradha Nakshatra. So the Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra mantra, if you may recall, is Shrestho Devana Bhagavo Bhagasi Tattva Vedo Phalgunistasya Vittat Asmabhyam Kshatramajaragam Suviryam Gomadashva Vadupasannu Deha Bhagoha Data Bhaga It Pradata Bhago Devi Phalgunera Vivesha Bhagasyettam Prasavangamema Yatra Devai Sadhamadam Madema. So that is the Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra. So the mantra has got Devata, Adidevata, Pratyadidevata. So the Devata is Bhaga, Adidevata is Surya, and Pratyadevata is Savitru. Actually, all are epithets of the one solar deity there, Surya Devata. Shrestho Devanam Bhagavo Bhagasi Devanam Shresthaha. Hey Bhaga, the Lord Bhaga, you are the most exalted among all the gods. In fact, Bhaga, the Bhagya Sukta also gives the definition of who this Bhaga is. So why are you exalted among gods? Because Bhaga Asi, you are Bhaga. So what exactly is the meaning of Bhaga? Anyone who possesses 8 gunas, it's called as Shad Guna. These Shad Gunas are there only for God. So these Shad Gunas are unlimited, inexhaustible prosperity. It is called in Sanskrit as Aishwarya. Guna number 1. Guna number 2 is immense, imperishable prowess, which is Virya. At the same time, absolute detachment, Vairagya. Then it is super knowledge. It is not ordinary knowledge, but it is completely assimilated knowledge, also known as Vijnana. Then prosperous wealth is called Shrihi, and fame, Yashas. So 6 gunas are impossible to be in any one person other than Bhaga. So that is Aishwarya, Virya, Vairagya, Vijnana, Shrihi, and Yashas. Hey Bhaga, you are the one who is having all these Shadgunas. If you see, as I mentioned, my commentary on Bhagya Sukta, I have done much more, gone much more deeper into this concept of Bhaga. Tat tvam viduhu phalguninam vittat. How are you identified? How are you known? In the Phalguni, Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, you have resided, and all your wealth, the totality of these Shadgunas are visible in the constellation of Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra. And Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra made this group of stars, actually Uttara Phalguni is one of the stars, it's a feminine gender. She made herself as the place where Bhaga can come and reside. So by knowing the value of the Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, I come to know the value of wealth, which has got to have all these 6 qualities. Because many times we look at wealth with only one angle. So this has to be looked at all the Shadgunas. So therefore, the question arises, how do we ever know and understand the quality of another person? The quality is known only by their possessions. What do they have? How do they wear their clothes? In which suburb they live? What kind of furniture they have got? And at the same time, how do they speak? What is their qualification? What are their possessions? These are the things we look at. So when you look at all these Shad Gunas, Where to find them? You look at the Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, and this Nakshatra is the one which actually displays the 6 qualities of Bhaga. So then that is fine, but what use is that for that? For us, what use if Uttara Phalguni has got Bhaga and all this wealth is there? So we are asking Asmabhyam Ajaram Kshatram Suvirya. The purpose of having wealth is so that we get strength, is so that we can protect ourselves, so that we can protect our proteges, and also we will have all the necessary valor to protect. So it is purely a Kshatriya based nakshatra. So we are asking in this mantra, Asmabhyam Ajaram Kshatram Suviryam. Please grant for us an imperishable strength and a valor that protects everything. Now, why emphasis on this? Here you please see a cross reference to the Kathopanishad. In Kathopanishad they say, Yatra Brahmacha Kshatrancha Ubhe Bhavati Odanam. What happens to at death? All our knowledge, Brahmacha, all our physical strength, both of them will become food for the Mrityu Devata. That means whatever we have achieved is going to end up in destruction only. And now we are asking, hey Bhaga, through Phalguni Nakshatra, please bless us so that our Kshatra, our strength will never be perished. And not only that, let it be never become weak, Shaithilya Rahitam, never become weak. And let it always show the splendor, Shobhana Sahitam. And how do we do that? Obviously, nobody is immortal. At some point of time, our Kshatra and Brahma, that is whatever knowledge we have got and whatever strength and possessions we have, is going to perish with us. It's going to happen. But the question here is, when we say give imperishably, means let the wealth and the virya that you have granted me continue through my progeny. So imagine that's how we become immortal. All the jnana that we have achieved, all the wealth that we have achieved must be completely inherited by my children, and they must build upon it. So every generation must be a growth upon the other. Then it is Ajaram Kshatram. It becomes an imperishable strength. And how do we show that? Again, externally it must be shown. In those days, the wealth was seen by how much of cattle you had, so Govat, and also how much of horses you had, Ashvavat, Upasthanudema. Please provide us all these things. This is the Purana Vakya. Yajya, Purana Vakya, as I mentioned, is how you invoke the Devata. Yajya is how you offer the oblation to the Devata. So this Bhagaha, indeed Bhaga, Data, he is the one who gives. Bhagayit Pradhata. He is not only Data but also Pradata, means Prakarshena Data. He gives so much abundance so that we can live in complete plenty. With what are the things we need? Dhana, we need money. Dhanya, we need grains. Sampat, we need wealth that can be enjoyed. We want the kanaka, we want gold, and then we want all other valuable possessions. And this, because you have all these possessions, so that your glory can be manifested. Phalguni avivesha bhago devi Phalguni, the goddess Phalguni, Uttara Phalguni, avivesha, let her come into herself. Bhagasya etat tam prasavam, that gamema, may through you, by worshipping O Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, may we get the true experience of wealth. Many times there is lot of wealth with us. For example, our mind is wealthy, our intellect is wealthy, but we don't know the value of that wealth. By this mantra, we will also come to realize the value of the wealth we possess. Wealth must be, whatever wealth we possess must also be experienced. And therefore he says, Yatra devaihi sadhamadam. There must be a special contentment that is obtained. And that special contentment for have our possessions. Because what is the natural human tendency? However much we have, we always think that we don't have something else. And that is a sense of poverty. Whatever we have, if we experience, if we enjoy, if we feel happy with that, then what happens? Devaihi sadhamadam. We are in the company of gods. Look at the twist here. It is not just samadhana, it is not just trupti. It is when you are enjoying your wealth without feeling that there is something lacking in you, then you are in the company of gods. So, because devatas, the quality of devatas is trupti, is contentment. And may that contentment of the Bhago Devata also accrue to me. Now this Bhaga is the Devata with these 8 excellent resources. So why did he get the name Bhaga? It is because in the very early days, all the yajna havis that was given to the gods, it was the role of this Bhaga to distribute all this to the various gods. So, for example, you do a homa. In that homa, you offer all the oblations. Agni carries all those oblations and hands it over to Bhaga. And this Bhaga will apportion and give to the various devatas, here is your share of this havis. And in the process of this distribution, Bhaga forgets to give an allocation to Rudra. So obviously the very name Rudra is associated with anger, so Rudra gets extremely angry and then he plucks out the eyes of Bhaga. And that is how in the Shiva Ashtottara you have the name Bhaganetra Bhide Namaha. Then of course Bhaga does a lot of worship and then he gets back his eyes. So Uttara Phalguni constellation, she chooses Bhaga as her lord. And by worshipping this Bhaga and chanting and worshipping and doing the homa for Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, we get all the wealth that will not perish. Bhaga, because he is also gives a bhaga. Bhaga means portion. He also gives a portion of all the wealth for us with so that food for the sake of ashrana, for eating, clothing, vasana, then dhana, wealth, dhanya, grains and edibles, and then kanaka, gold and metals. All of these things he brings to us. So whatever joy and the prosperity that the gods enjoy with the resources of Bhaga, in this we are asking Bhaga to give us all of them. Incidentally, his color is Priyangu. Priyangu is a dark green, and Priyangu also is a grain, and it is also associated with Homa. We prepare for offering called charu. This charu is prepared with grains, and these are cooked and offered in the yajna. There are 7 ingredients, and these 7 ingredients are rice called shali, then green gram called mudga, barley called yava, black gram called masha, wheat called godhuma, priyangu, it's called as panic seed, it's also called as the Italian millet, and it's also called long pepper. You can actually get it in the stores, and sesame or tila. So these are the 7 grains that are combined together and prepared into cooked and offered in the homa called charu. So in ancient times, actually the homakundas were installed in villages where all these 7 grains were grown. And then Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra mantras are used to do the oblations also.